Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm going to be taking a look at a guitar this week that I come up on, and in my profession I have a pretty unique relationship with a lot of people that do like home clean outs, junk removal, that type of stuff, and every once in a while they throw me a bone, and that's where I get a lot of these dumpster type guitars, bound for the landfill or the wherever. So, I have a kind of a lucky inside track on getting a hold of some musical instruments, stuff like that from time to time, looking at, dealing with these folks, and they're pretty good to throw something my way every once in a while. So this week we're going to be looking at a Teisco that I come up on, or they come up on and dropped it off. Hey, can you use this? Is it any good? Whatever. So, of course, I jumped right on this. So we'll take a look at this thing and decide what we're going to do with it. It's actually seems to be pretty much complete. It's missing the high E tuner on it, but we can probably come up with something like, something to replace that with. So I'll rearrange the camera and we'll take a closer look at it. What we have is just your typical, Audition or Teisco or whatever brand name they happen to be. Back in the day, whoever they were selling them to, if they were an Audition, they were sold to Woolworth. I'm not sure the label has been taken off of this one, what it would have been called, but it's, a single coil. Got your volume, tone. This one has a fixed bridge. A lot of them have a trim, just kind of a stamped out little cheap bridge. This one does have a Truss Rod Adjustment at the heel of the neck, kind of a fender looking type headstock with the string retainer bar. It's got the 0 fret, and I'll try to get this to where everybody can see, but it's probably got the same strings on it that come on it. I mean, these things are really rusty. It actually has pretty decent looking inlays in the fretboard, but it is really dirty, rusty. The bridge, you can tell it's really, really rusty. The electronics, we're missing the knob on the volume, and it's loose, the nut's spinning. The tone is kind of everywhere. Input jack's loose. So the back side of it, bolt-on neck, it's got a pretty good dent right here in it. It's really took a lick right there. I mean, it's pretty mashed in. So kind of see what we can get into with this. Something about these guitars, a lot of people get them the first time and they'll say the frets are worn out, they're all just wore down. That's the way these guitars came. They didn't have any frets on them when they were brand new. I mean, they just are flat, thin little frets, pretty poorly made. And a lot of people my age, this is what they learned to play on. So if you could play one of these, hey, when you stepped up to a better guitar, you really could play then, because if you can play one of these the way it came, but they can be fixed to be pretty playable. But something we need to do is see if this one's even going to make any noise. Okay. Got our amp hooked up. Well, it actually makes noise. Not a pretty noise, but a noise. So we at least know the electronics is good, the pickup's good. So I think, we'll take these strings off, maybe take the pick guard off, and see what it looks like underneath it. Something about these screws on this guitar, they're in pretty decent shape. They hadn't been all, roughed up, stripped out, messed with. It don't look like they've been taken loose very much of any over the years. Okay. And this is a common thing with these guitars, to have a 100K volume and a 500K bridge. And all this looks completely original. Got your pickup right here. Pretty well all original. Your green and your black are your ground, and your red is your hot on these type pickups. So everything actually is loose, but it looks pretty good. The pick guard's got a little broke off end out here on the end, but the screw still fits in there. So I don't think anything's ever been done to this. All the solders and looks original. So that's you could change values on the pots, maybe get a little different sound out of the pickup. A lot of cleaning up needs to be done, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. We could actually check to see if the Truss Rod works, and I really need something. We'll try it with this. No, we ain't gonna tear that up. Let's see if we can find something that'll fit that better. That's gonna be too big. That's gonna be too big. Oh. Okay, it turns. It's not stripped or broke. Whether or not it actually does anything or not remains to be seen. So while we're just tearing everything apart, let me just go ahead and pop the neck off. If I can get this pick guard out of the way. And we'll just pop the neck off. I don't think we're going to find anything under there that's going to tell us anything, but we'll just take a look at it and see while we're looking it over. So I just hadn't thought much about what I'm even going to do with this thing. So that's everybody's opinion. That's going to be the comment section. What should I do with this? And I know a lot of people say burn it for firewood. They're cheap guitars. They're no good. I mean, I've heard all that. If they weren't no good, they wouldn't still be around. These things were made in like the late 60s, early 70s. This one's probably from the late 60s. They've stood the test of time. They weren't great to start with, but they're no worse now than they were then. But you can do things to make them better. And that's what what I'm going to talk about. Should we modify this thing? Maybe put a different pickup, use that pickup, change the values of the pots, do a fret job, and there, once again, you're going to put more money in it than it's worth. Well, I do a lot of this stuff for fun. I don't really care if I put more in it than it's worth, because, you buy a new set of golf clubs, do you expect to get the same money out of that set of golf clubs that you paid for it? No, it's a hobby. It's what you do. Okay, there's no kind of markings. It don't say, a year or nothing on here. It just is what it is. I mean, I look at the truss rod right there, if you can see that. So a lot of them will have a steel reinforced neck with no truss rod. Our string retainer bar is a little bit loose, and these tuners, you can see that one's missing. I may have a replacement for this, but my way of thinking is these things don't hold tune good at all. And you can buy a new set just like it, and guess what? They don't hold good tune either. But the thing is with these guitars, that the headstock is thicker on these than on like a regular, like a Squire Strat or something. So a lot of your tuners that you're going to use, like if you had an extra set of tuners you'd taken off, they're not going to go through far enough to stick up high enough to work. So that's something to think about. If you buy one of these and you go, you're going to order a set of tuners, don't order none till you check how tall your post is, because I'll have to take all this off to demonstrate. I may do that. But a lot of these are thicker, and I hadn't measured this one. It may not be. It looks a little thicker, but they're pretty tall tuners. So, the frets, the 0 fret is eat up pretty good. I mean, it's got some pretty good grooves in it. I mean, this guitar has been played some because it's got some fret wear, but they're just really, really nearly nothing to start with. Really not good at all. They're all different lengths. Some are longer than the others. I mean, they're just not much. And I think I've got a set of frets already that I may just pop a set of frets in it and do another 0 fret. I've got some taller fret wire I can fabricate a 0 fret out of. And the rest of the neck, it's got some beats and bangs on it, but it's as old as I am, and I got some dents in me too. So, we could repaint the body, or we could leave it as it is, try to clean it up. It's pretty nasty right now. You can tell the pick guard's got plenty of grunge on it. Our bridge is actually better than some. This one's actually solid on the bottom. A lot of them are just stamped out. They're not even solid. But, you can actually, something I'll have to check is the intonation. A lot of times the intonation on these guitars are way off. And you can adjust that with the bridge. Or we could put a, like a Nashville style bridge or something on there. Do a different tailpiece. If we repainted it, we could do this. We could do a lot of things to it. And yeah, I probably would have more in it than I could get out of it, but so what? We're going to do this for fun. It ain't about trying to make any money off of this job. This is something fun. But that's a look at this thing. I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of them out there. They're, like I said, they've been around. They've stood the test of time. We'll see in 55, 56 years or whatever how the Harley Bentons and the Fireflies and all these other, bargain guitars of this day, if they're still around 55 years from now. So it is what it is. It's pretty cool. There wasn't no way of really telling how the pickup was going to sound. With those strings that was on it. That's probably the rustiest set of strings I've ever taken off a guitar. I mean, I would have hated to try to tune that thing to pitch. It would have been a disaster. So give me your input on it. I really would appreciate that. What should we do? Should we just put it back, clean everything up, clean the pots, put it all back together, cleaned up in stock condition, try to repair that tuner? Should we put another set of tuners on it? Maybe, improve the bridge, whatever. Should we paint it a different color? Because it's pretty well you know, it's got some pretty bad places in it. I mean, that, you know, especially right here. And I know that's going to be hard to show in the camera, but you can feel a definite groove right in there. So that has to be filled. But the sunburst looks pretty cool. You know, it can be cleaned up. The bridge can be cleaned up. All the hardware can be cleaned up, the pickup. So that's really all I got today, is just to look at this thing and let me know, project or not. Should we make it bigger, better, smarter, whatever than it was, or just put it back the way it is, or, I know, use it for firewood. That's probably what I'll hear. So anyway, that's just a little quick video today. Going to try to do a video coming up on finishing up and polishing a bone nut. You know, kind of show people what a finished bone nut should look like, and compared to what a lot of them you see on new guitars look like. So I'll probably one of the next videos I do. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, and until the next time, see you.